What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another Q&A. It's been a little bit of time since we've done one, I think a few months, so I thought it was time to do one again. Also, didn't really know what else to film, to be honest, so Q&A it is. Now, I did put a post on Instagram and told everyone to leave some questions below or just DM me. So if you missed out on that and aren't following me on Instagram, then you can follow me here. Make sure to do that. I post some cool mixes and stuff like that as well. So follow me on Instagram, and that way when I post a Q&A thing, you guys can know. But we've got a few questions today. Gonna try to get through it fairly quick, not too long. Only got about 6 to 7 questions. So gonna spend maybe a minute or so on each question depending on the depth of the question. But yeah, let's get into it. What is one piece of advice you can give someone who wants to become an athlete but doubt themselves? Okay, so I think when people doubt themselves, a lot of the time it's because they're either one, afraid of what people think, or they're too much obsessed with comparing themselves to others. And I think if you compare yourself to other people and say, you know, I want to be at that level, you're really going to put that pressure on yourself and you're going to get that self-doubt. Whereas that's not what the journey's about. As long as you are doing the best to become the best version of yourself, the best that you possibly can be, that's all that matters. You know, so many different things come into play, you know, genetics and things like that determine how good you're going to be. You know, not everyone has the potential to be a professional athlete, and that's just the reality. But that's, you know, not all that matters. As long as you're doing the best you can to be the best athlete possible, and you know, you don't care what other people think, you do what you love, you're passionate about it, you enjoy it, you work hard at it, that's all that matters. And I think if you sort of stay in your lane and just focus on yourself instead of focusing on others, then you won't doubt yourself as much, because it'll be more of a fun process and, you know, just trying to improve and beat yourself rather than trying to compare with other people. Some good tips for a beginner starting to train for their vertical jump, training days per week, type of training, etc. Okay, good question. So when I'm a beginner, or when I'm, you know, training beginners, one thing I would give as advice is to try do something simple, and you ultimately kind of want to do something that requires minimum work but you can still get results from it. And the reason I say that is because when you're a beginner, it's so easy to get results, and when you're a beginner you don't realize that because, you know, you don't know, you have nothing to compare it to, you know, for example, being at a more advanced stage. But there is going to come a time where you do stall, and that way it's going to be a lot harder to get progress, and you're going to have to work a lot harder. You're going to have to do a lot smarter training programs and programming in general. And I think as a beginner, to just do something simple, something that you can stick to, something that's not too taxing physically and mentally, is the main thing, as long as you focus on progressing slowly. So for example, for a split, I started with, you know, a push-pull legs. I did 1 day of plyos, 1 day of just lower body training, and then 1 day of upper body training, that's another one. And so the sets of reps, 5 sets of 5 is a great rep range, especially for a beginner. That's a good rep range to focus on strength as a beginner. So just keep it simple, something you can stick to, because you can take advantage of that as a beginner. So you might as well, you know, do something simple until you start stalling, then you can start moving on to something a little bit more harder. Would you rather have 50-inch vertical or can shoot 90% from 3? 50-inch vert, no doubt. That is literally probably like a life, or definitely a life goal for me. If I could ever get to 50-inch for a vertical, that's insane. And not everyone can get a 50-inch vertical, so you know, it's definitely a special thing. Also, I don't really play basketball anymore, so I wouldn't really need to shoot. But even if I did, 50-inch vertical all the way. Have you ever used Birdshot, and what are your reviews on it? So when I started, I did use Birdshot just because, you know, I wanted to get a program because I didn't know anything about programming. I would say it's decent for some people. It doesn't work for everybody. If your main focus is trying to improve your motor unit recruitment and trying to get more explosive, and your strength is there, I think it can really work because it only has plyometrics. Whereas if you're already quite explosive, or, you know, speed isn't your issue but more so gaining strength, then I don't really think, you know, it's the right program. And, you know, it might gain a few inches to start with, and as a beginner I would say it's an okay program to start with, but eventually you'd want to move on to something a bit more advanced, something that incorporates both plyometrics and strength training into your routine to get the best results. I jumped so hard that I pulled a muscle in my abdomen. What should I do to strengthen my core so that hopefully doesn't happen again? It might not be in relation to your core strength. Maybe you just moved a certain way and you know, just you pulled it. That happens. But in terms of, you know, increasing your core strength, the biggest advice I would give is to focus on the squat and the deadlift. Those really do put pressure on the core and really are the best exercises in my opinion for gaining core strength. I also like to do additional core work after my workout. So you've seen I do things like med ball twists, planks, you know, leg raises, all those sort of things. I will do that after a workout, typically 3 times a week. But the main thing I would say is just doing squats and deadlifts, trying to get better at those movements, because the stronger you build those, the stronger your core is going to become, because it has to adapt to that as well. Otherwise, if your core doesn't become stronger, then your deadlift or squat is not going to become stronger. Your body's only as strong as its weakest link. Throughout school or just in general, did you ever have your doubts within yourself because other people put you down? Not really. Throughout school, the thing with that is when people put you down, I always knew it's just because they're insecure about themselves, or they might even just be threatened or jealous of you. And that's something that I always thought of when someone tried to put me down. I was too busy trying to focus on myself, and I really didn't care what other people thought. Like, other people's opinions of me didn't really affect me. Like, people can think what they want. I'm just going to do me, and I'm going to stay in my lane and focus on myself. I'm not going to focus on that negativity. I sort of just channel that out, and whenever someone did do that, it just kind of, it made me feel proud in a sense, because you know that they're only doing it because they're either threatened of you or they're insecure about themselves. And you, in a way, you kind of feel sorry for them, because instead of them focusing on themselves, they're taking their time to put others down. So, you know, it never really made me doubt myself in any way at all, because it's them who, you know, have all that insecurity inside them. Anyways guys, that's the Q&A. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Very short one today, but hopefully next time it will be slightly longer. Remember to follow me on the gram so you know when I post the Q&A photos, and then you can comment something below. That's it. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I'll see y'all in the next vid. Peace! Dabbing's so 2017, isn't it? Psych, it's not. It's still cool.